Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something incredibly fascinating and honestly a bit intense. We're going to undertake this deeply psychological journey to map out the very architecture of the human soul. Think of it as a grim, dark fable built right on top of the profound philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche. So get ready, because we're exploring the absolute darkest corners of human ambition, that paralyzing fear of change we all get, and the ultimate triumph of what's known as the Faustbuch Übermensch. I really want you to let this ancient truth sink in for a second. I teach you the overman. Man is something that shall be overcome. And then there's this incredible visual. Man is a rope tied between beast and overman, a rope over an abyss. In our fable today, we're following a figure known as the Sage on a terrifying journey across this exact rope. He's literally a bridge, caught right between his own animal shame and the completely unknown potential of the stars. It's a dangerous crossing, right? And to just stand still, well, that means falling. Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to imagine stepping into the uncanny forest of your very own mind. You are the sage here. You reach this specific point in your life where everything just stops. The sun literally freezes in the sky. All those past trials, your deepest fears, and that atavistic, primitive shame suddenly materialize right beneath your feet, and they demand that you just surrender, give up the struggle. So what do you do when your own mind turns against your progress? Part 1. The Zenith of High Noon. So we've reached this critical hour, set deep within the inner architecture of the sage's soul. It's what Nietzsche calls the Great Noon, the exact moment when man stands right in the middle of his course between animal and overman. At this zenith, in both the outer realm of the uncanny forest and the inner realm of the soul, the sun has reached its peak and simply stopped. For the sage, this is the moment of maximum visibility and maximum vulnerability. There are no angles left to cast a long shadow, you see. He can't project his fears or faults onto anybody else anymore. He just has to face them. And this brilliantly illustrates the core conflict of our psychological fable. Just look at the two forces at play. On one side, you have the heavy, freezing gravity of our past, what we're calling the tragedy of the unowned. It's complete stasis. It's the cold, paralyzing grip of winter's bite. But on the other side, you have the absolute requirement for evolution, the sacred dance. This represents fluid, dangerous motion and the really brutal labor of self-overcoming. The sage has to make a choice here. Does he take the comfort of freezing in place or embrace the sheer chaos of moving forward? Part 2. The Sentinel of Resentment. Now, to really understand why it's so incredibly hard to keep moving, we have to meet our antagonist. Stepping right through a silver-backed mirror, literally out of the sage's own shadow, emerges the Sentinel of Resentment. This shadow creature is born entirely from the residual echoes of the sage's past trials and his own inner malice. And get this, above his brow hovers a halo of clock arrows, but they aren't spinning forward. No, they tick backward, with this precise metronomic patience. The Sentinel has literally weaponized time into stasis. Every single backward tick siphons a little bit of warmth from this sage's ambition, casting this pale twilight that makes him incrementally forget what it even feels like to move towards something rather than just running away from it. The sage looks at this monstrous shadow and remembers a crucial truth. The man who no longer feels shame has become similar to an animal. But there's a huge vital warning that follows that thought. Whoever fights with monsters should see to it that he doesn't become a monster in the process. This is so relatable, right? To fight this internal shadow with pure, unadulterated aggression is to risk becoming totally consumed by the exact darkness you're trying to escape. You become rigid. You become monstrous yourself. Part 3. The False Pale Sanctuary. So instead of an outright brawl, the shadow, now acting as this pale redeemer, offers a really insidious temptation. It exerts what we can call static control. It demands perfect stillness and actively mocks the sage's fluid growth as if it's some sort of dangerous fever. It offers the static perfection of being. Why dance toward the abyss, it asks, when peace is right here? But listen, this is a total trap. The Sentinel is weaponizing the spirit of gravity, which is designed to pull the evolving spirit right back down into the muddy, stagnant waters of the herd. It's emotional death, cleverly disguised as peace. It's a complete surrender to the cold, intellectual void of winter's bite. Part 4. Transforming Suffering into Myth.
So the crucial point is how the sage reacts. Rejecting that false sanctuary, he pushes forward into a lightless thicket, clutching this agonizing, bleeding wound. And it's here that the red spirit whispers from the shadows of the world tree. It tells him, not the pain is the problem, but the meaninglessness of suffering. Think about that for a second. If your suffering means nothing, it's just going to crush you. But if it serves a higher purpose, suddenly it becomes fuel.
The sage must now become a sort of psychological alchemist of his own suffering. He can't just passively endure the wound. He has to actively reject the idea of objective meaninglessness. He has to take the chaos, the brokenness, all that dark history of his life, and actually use it as clay to author a grander story. He's taking back control. He must forge a brand new purpose directly from his own scars. Because as the red spirit laughs at our desire for a cold, sterile reality, we realize a profound truth about the architecture of the soul. There are no facts, only interpretations. The sage realizes he has to completely abandon the search for some objective mathematical truth about his trauma. He understands that there is no more beautiful lie than a great one forged by his own will. He actively chooses an interpretation of his life that empowers him to cross that abyss, rather than one that holds him back.
Part 5, Birth of the Dancing Starter.
Now, what's really interesting about this idea is how it propels the sage right into the hollow tower of the mind, where all those sterile, rigid walls of logic finally start to crumble. We usually view inner anxiety and internal storms as things that need to be suppressed, right? That's exactly what the Sentinel wanted. But the truth is totally flipped here. As Nietzsche famously said, one must have chaos within oneself to give birth to a dancing star. You need that internal storm to create something divine. And so, the sage physically manifests this massive act of self-overcoming. He completely refuses the stillness of the herd. He realizes that dancing stands as the ultimate image for the highest thing. His limbs start moving in this sacred geometry of fire, completely transforming his internal discord into blinding light. Man must be overcome, and specifically by himself. He is no longer just surviving the uncanny forest. He is the overman. He is the Übermensch.
Part 6. The Sovereign of Amor Fati.
Let's see how this all builds to our climax. Having crossed the abyss, the sage stands at the iron threshold, right at the terminal end of time, under the unblinking sun of the great noon. He gazes backward into the shadow of his entire existence. He looks at every single scar, every paralyzing fear, and he achieves ultimate psychological victory. He discovers the formula for greatness, Amor Fati. It means that one wants nothing other than it is, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Behold the man, how one becomes what one is. He basically says a massive, cosmic yes to his entire flawed, beautiful journey. As the rope finally vanishes beneath him, and he steps firmly into his new reality, this dark fable leaves us looking inward at ourselves. The sage conquered the sentinel of resentment by weaponizing his own pain and choosing to dance through his own chaos. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought. If the sun stopped in the sky at your great noon, completely exposing all your shadows and past regrets, could you embrace the chaos? Could you say yes to the abyss and forge your very own dancing star? Keep seeking, keep dancing, and absolutely never let the clock tick backward on your ambition.